When it comes to what might have been, Gaza is a good place to start. If the defunct Oslo peace process had delivered the Palestinian state it promised, Gaza would have been the holiday capital. Its Mediterranean beaches, a playground for Palestinians and Israelis. Dream on. Palestinian statehood is on hold. Palestinians have been told to get rid of Yasser Arafat and find new leaders who can cut a deal. As things stand, telling Palestinians they have to dump Yasser Arafat is a pretty good way of guaranteeing his re-election as president. But while Mr. Arafat still tries to look like the man in charge, around him there is a mood for change and a more open discussion of his future. In a time of despair for Palestinians, what chance is there of a new leadership emerging which fits the West's democratic credentials? It's pretty difficult for Palestinians to be optimistic at the moment. They're living under Israeli military occupation again, and the government which was meant to lead them to independence lies in ruins. But amid all this, there are some Palestinians who believe that there is an historic opportunity to give Palestinians something they should have had long ago: genuine democracy. And a few of them are already limbering up for elections which should be held next year. It'll be a chance to give Palestinians an alternative to what many see as leaders who've simply run out of puff.
We have to deliver two things to people. One is the message, and the other is the care and services they need. So people can have a confidence. The message, of course, is a message of respect of the rule of law, democracy, human rights, equality, and so on.
Dr. Iyad Siraj, psychiatrist, human rights activist and self-declared Democrat, is a long-time critic of Yasser Arafat and the Palestinian Authority he leads.
Over the last 7 years, corruption became like a trademark of the Palestinian Authority. So you have to distance yourself from that, and you have to show people an alternative.
But dissent in this society carries a price. People are used to being told what to do by people who are used to being obeyed.
Not only as a political leader, but as a human being.
5 years ago, Iyad Siraj found himself in prison after criticising Arafat.
I was arrested again, and this time I was beaten and put in solitary confinement for 17 days.
Could that have happened without his express order?
Of course not. Absolutely not. Nobody would have dared to arrest me without his explicit order. I saw the order myself with his signature.
Iyad Siraj says Palestinians should demand democratic reform not because America wants it, but because it'll be good for them.
More and more people are aware that we have to go through this process of democratization for our own sake, not because of the international or American pressure. This is very important for us because we have to get rid of the mismanagement and corruption and the lack of visionary and courageous leadership.
If Palestinian politics is going to be given a new look, then it'll need fresh faces at the top. Bassam Hada is still a young man, but he's a veteran of the Palestinian struggle. 15 years ago, the Israelis deported him. He joined Yasser Arafat's PLO leadership, then in exile in Tunisia.
Me and him in Tunisia, in his office in Tunis.
But he quickly became disillusioned with Yasser Arafat's style of leadership.
In the national level, I respect him. I love him so much. But I disagree early with him. I cannot follow the other people in Tunis who say yes for everything, even if Yasser Arafat said the sunrise from east or north, you have to say yes.
Hussam Hada is one of Arafat's harshest critics, and he argues that Palestinians can only really be liberated by democracy.
I hope that the Chairman Arafat change his style of
At 73 years of age, do you think it's very likely?
No, it's not easy. It's not easy, actually. And but he should take in consideration the needs of the Palestinian people for democracy, for laws, and sooner or later we should struggle for democracy in the same level in which we are struggling now for independence and freedom.
Hussam Hada lives in the Balata refugee camp on the outskirts of Nablus, a city in the northern part of the West Bank. He doesn't venture onto the streets, sleeping in one house and meeting us in another, climbing from roof to roof to make the journey. Palestinians here live under Israeli military curfew in an area which used to be controlled by the Palestinian Authority.
It's not safe. All the activist Palestinians are targets for Israel.
Do you support suicide bombings?
No, I do not agree with the suicide bomber or martyr bomber because it's against the civilian and it do not serve our national targets.
Hussam Hada's views are Palestinian mainstream. Attacks against Israeli soldiers and settlers on occupied territory are okay. Attacks inside Israel are not.
Since the beginning of the uprising, since October, I call all the Palestinian faction to stop attacks the civilian inside Israel and to escalate their struggle against the soldiers, the settlers in West Bank and Gaza in the occupied territories, because this will be better for us.
If the elections go ahead, then Palestinians will have greater choice this time. Radical Islamic parties will probably run candidates and probably do well. For those trying to sell democratic reform, the priority is organisation.
هاي المشكلة الرئيسية تبعتنا لازم نرجع لها
انه الاصلاح الداخلي نبدا فيه.
علشان هيك انا بقول الوضع
طب خلينا في موضوع الاحشاء القديمة هذه.
At his home in Gaza, Dr. Iyad Siraj is trying to pull together a new political movement. He has a name and a reputation, but not much practical political experience. Ghazi Abu Shaya spent 16 years in Israeli prisons and stood unsuccessfully when elections were held in 1996. Iyad Siraj wants a team which can run a campaign.
الانتخابات هي فرصة في نظري لإجراء إصلاح مش على مستوى السلطة والمجتمع تبعنا. هي فرصة لإجراء إصلاح على التنظيمات نفسها.
Salah Abdul Shafi is the son of one of the most widely respected Palestinian politicians in Gaza.
وبالتالي أنا بشوف الانتخابات هي فرصة للتيار الجديد.
طيب مين هم؟
التيار الجديد منيح، ما هو بنضلنا نحط سؤال مين هم؟ هم أنت وأنا وهو.
The difficulty is getting beyond salon politics and agreeing on policies. Iyad Siraj wants non-violent mass protests of Palestinians, Israelis and foreigners.
If we have 5,000 people demonstrating in that street against the movement of the settlers, block the street, right? And people coming from different parts of the world, so the Israelis will not dare to shoot and kill, because they can dare to shoot and kill Palestinians, but not Israelis, not Jews.
pacifism might appeal to Western sensibilities, but it's tough selling it to Palestinians who've been reared on the martyrdom of the suicide bomber.
I believe strongly that the Palestinian suicide bombing inside Israel, killing civilians in Israel, is politically counterproductive. In fact, it has damaged the Palestinians. In every case of suicide bombing, there is a history of trauma. Every case of people who committed such acts have had experience of being exposed to terrible traumatic experiences. Children of the first Intifada, 12 years ago, are the suicide bombers of today.
As a psychiatrist, Yasser Arafat sees cause and effect at first hand.
We're going to see a young boy called Muhammad. His home was destroyed by the Israelis. They demolished the house. He came home and there was no house.
The Hassanat family has been given an apartment in a new housing project just outside Gaza City. 11-year-old Mohammed is one of hundreds of people who are helped by the Gaza Mental Health Clinic, which Yasser Arafat founded more than a decade ago. It's what people in Gaza know him for.
وتحب لما تكبر تصير دكتور ولا تلعب كورة؟ دكتور أحسن ليش؟ ليش؟
عشان لما حد يصاب من الدار تعرف
ايش؟
لما حد يصاب من الدار تعرف العلاج.
يعني زيك وزي في حبتين.
While Mohammed busies himself with the sort of picture that just about every child here knows how to draw, the lone Palestinian facing off against the Israeli tank, adult conversation turns to politics.
اجتنا جميل الصيدم. وحكت انتخبوا فلان وفلان. كويسين وبدهم كل الشباب اللي قاعدين يشغلوهم وبدهم يدعموا الناس وبدهم وضحك عدقوا ولا ايش عملوا.
Looking out over Gaza's ramshackle squalor, it's difficult to see many signs of hope. And things aren't any better in Nablus, the deserted streets of a town under curfew. Years of lost opportunity. The chance of a prosperous future, grand plans, all coming to nothing. And over every political discussion hovers the future of Yasser Arafat.
أناشد الأخ الرئيس ياسر عرفات أن يشكل لجنة تحقيق في سوء التصرف بأموال الشعب الفلسطيني، وأنا واثق من أن ياسر عرفات إذا ما قدم 50 مسؤول.
Still confined by the curfew, Hassam Hada continues pumping out the message.
It's a live interview with Beit Lahem 2000 radio. It's broadcast in Hebron, Beit Lahem, and Jerusalem, Ramallah. They ask me if I will run the presidential election or not.
Everybody wants to know, don't they, about the election for president. Is that because everybody believes that unless you change Arafat, nothing else will change?
Maybe this is the...
Do you believe that?
I always mention, I trust in Yasser Arafat in the national level, but I never trusted on him on the administrative level. He lead us to this corrupt situation.
The Israeli occupation and revolutionary dogma have left Palestinian politics with shallow roots and an over-reliance on one man. Since they can't move about because of the curfew, Hassam and his political allies can't do much except sit about and chat.
خليني أقول حالة العبودية لشخص ياسر عرفات في أوساطنا إحنا كفتح موجودة جدا، يعني عالية جدا جدا.
تقويته في الساحه الفلسطينيه طبعا كان هدفها عكس على طول، يعني انه الشعب مش راح يقبل اي تغيير امريكي لانه الامريكان بدهم مش عرفات، راح احنا نجكر في الامريكان راح نكون بدنا عرفات.
But change is in the air, make no mistake. The Palestinians of Balata refugee camp might not feel that change tomorrow, but they sense it's coming.
No one born to be leader forever. So if Yasser Arafat lead our people to their own target in all the levels, we will support him. If he will use his being a symbol to punish the Palestinian people, to destroy the social structure of the Palestinian people, why not? We should change him. He is not our own God and he is not our own fate.
Generations of Palestinians have already lived and died in the squalid refugee camps of Gaza and the West Bank. Imprisoned by the conflict, used as pawns by both sides. But will a new leadership step forward?
I will never stop criticizing the corruption and the misadministration of Yasser Arafat until we reach the correct point. Even if I will die for that, I am ready since the beginning for that.
What happens to internal Palestinian politics will define the future of the conflict. Palestinian society is being radicalised. Democracy won't guarantee calm, but it looks better than the alternative.
Perhaps this is one of the last chances for us to try and build a secular Palestinian democracy. If the world is not helping to settle the Palestinian-Israeli problem today, I think it will be very difficult to find moderates and secular movement in the future.